Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the Debrief, episode number 151, June the 17th, 2025. Myself, Rob Hagen, alongside David Cole, to wrap up our EKN Trackside Live coverage of the 2025 Challenge of the Americas. We were out in Grantsville, Utah, at Burt Brothers Motor Park for rounds 7 and 8 of the series. And we'll get things underway and, of course, dive through all the action that happened out there in a very warm weekend out in Utah. This week's show presented by Stilo USA. As a world leader in personal racing safety products, Simpson Performance Products is now the official North American distributor for Stilo helmets. In addition to their popular auto racing helmets, Stilo is excited to have made their move into karting. Stilo has 3 helmets designed and manufactured specifically for karting: the ST5 CMR and the ST5 KRT helmets, including the new ST5 CMR Carbon. Complete your safety gear with the Stilo Carbon Curva wrist, rib, and chest protector. For more information, check them out at stilohelmets.com or by following them on social media at Stilo USA. I can vouch for the Stilo Carbon Curva as an older guy running in the Legends class. Love that rib protector. Got a Stilo helmet as well. So yeah, 100% behind all Stilo's products. Great stuff, Dave.
Yeah, I need to get one of the rib vests for sure.
I love it.
Probably a new helmet because my helmet's old.
Yeah, you're almost ready to get a new helmet. We got to dial one in for you for sure. All right, let's jump into it, David. 2025 Challenge of the Americas wrapped things up this past weekend, June 13th, 14th, 15th, out at what is now known as Burt Brothers Motor Park, formerly Miller Motorsports Park, Utah Motorsports Park, Utah Motorsports Campus. The track out in Grantsville, round 7 and 8 of the series, capped things off for the challenge this past weekend.
Yeah, 18th season of the Challenge of the Americas, wrapping up the series, which began in 2008, one of the longer running programs we have in the United States, North American karting and altogether. It's strange going there all the different times with the different names and seeing the new branding and seeing the new. Nothing's really changed in terms of the racetrack itself. Still the same. We ran the Star Trek layout, which is kind of their national layout. In the clockwise direction, so nothing changed there. The amenities still the same. We got nice garages alongside the karting paddock area for people to utilize, and now we're seeing race teams utilizing those as well. Good bathrooms, an actual scoring tower that fits everybody in it, scales, everything. You know, it is a true motorsports park, or what it used to be. I think, what was their tagline on their shirts? The playground for speed or something like that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they're the worker shirts that said playground for speed or something like that.
I like that.
So
I like that.
Yeah, it's a unique place. And again, the location is truly amazing with all the mountains surrounding there. You got the salt flats to the north as well. So that in turn makes it very, very, very hot for the summer months, and June is no stranger to that. Luckily, we did stay below the triple digits in terms of the mercury, but we got up. I think Sunday was the warmest.
93.
Close to 90.
I
felt like it was 96. Okay.
I saw 93 at least on my phone. But again, a little bit of breeze. There was quite a bit of a wind throughout the weekend as well. That kind of maybe helped a little bit. I really can't complain that much because it was air conditioned in the tower. So pretty nice there most of the time.
Yeah, the wind did help. It came from the south during the morning hours, shifted from the north during the afternoon. Yeah, so Friday and Saturday, it certainly helped. It came through on Sunday as well, but it didn't seem as much. So I think that's maybe why the mercury went up a little bit higher than the other 2 days. So, but yeah, it's actually weird. It's not that bad on the pavement when you're in the shade, but then you get in the sun and it just beats on you. Yeah. It's actually worse in the middle of the racetrack where there's no vegetation. It's just dirt. That's where it's the warmest, I feel.
So let's have a look at the numbers from a hot weekend out at Burt Brothers Motor Park. You started the season off in Tucson with 105 for the Challenge of the Americas. Moved to K1 for their first trip there at 114 entries, just under 100 at Sonoma. And David, we ended up with 85 entries all told in Utah. A number of those, 16 to 17 of them coming from the Briggs 206 shootout. 67 drivers in total that had run throughout the season. A lot more drivers, over 160 drivers, I think, had actually come and run the entire program throughout the year. 67 answering the call for the finale. we're used to seeing numbers drop throughout the season as championships start to go away. Some drivers have do a couple of runs early in the year and then head out to other programs up to the Pacific Northwest, whatever it may be, into their kind of club or regional programs. All told, 85 on the weekend. Would love to have had a lot more. I think the biggest issue, and of course, Andy Saisman will tell you this, the lack of shifters this year has been really disappointing for a program that at one point was really the West Coast bastion for all gearbox racers, right? A lot of guys came out to run, in the Winter Series with the Challenge this year. Just, I think 9 and 5 were the best we ever had on the year, and that was the first round, 9 senior shifters and 5 masters. That's been the biggest disappointment, I think, on the season.
Yeah, there's nothing really more to say other than it was a disappointment. It's just it is what it is. Obviously the tire is different from what everybody's used to, so that's kind of the focal point of what everybody's looking at in terms of racing or not racing, and so that's the only thing that we can kind of look at in terms of that. But you can look at the other side. Over 30 entries in the 100cc senior category throughout the season. Over 40 for K1 and Sonoma. So big numbers there. Juniors got up to 16. So nearly had all 4 events above the 20 mark. It was tough to see the cadet go down to 10. But again, you talk about championships. If they're not in it, they're not going, they're not traveling to, especially a new place. Again, a lot of these competitors have never been to Burt Brothers Motor Park, or even as it was when it was Utah Motorsports Campus. So that has a lot to do with it. The month of June, summertime's here. There's other events going on. Regionals programs are going. Club programs are going. So again, it's just, at the end of last year, Andy was told, hey, we need a fourth. We need a fourth. So he adds a fourth. And now you're getting even worse numbers than what you saw from the third event of the season. It's tough to continue with that. So there's going to have to be, a lot of grinding for Andy to get with the teams, get with the competitors, see what's going to work, what's not going to work in terms of continuing that 4-weekend program in 2026, which they've already announced.
Yeah, and it's how's it going to evolve? You look at the shifter card categories; they did not have what you would need to keep them on the roster, right? Why would you have a spot for shifters when you're bringing in at sometimes less than 10? So the bottom line is there's going to be obviously some looking at how 2026 is going to play out for Andy Saisman and FTK Promotions. We'll see how that all works. I will say this, the Briggs 206 shootout, having the Briggs back there again. There's been Briggs on the Challenge, a race here and there every once in a while. They drew 18. I think at one point there was 20 on track. A couple of guys backed out later. There was actually a penalty that took one driver out of the rest of the weekend for unsportsmanlike conduct. But 18 in total, David, the Briggs 206 shootout, $1,500 up for grabs. Great racing at the end of it. I thought it was a really good addition to the finale weekend.
It was, it was a chance for Briggs racers to experience the challenge experience. I'm trying to think, when was it? 2017 or 2018, they had Briggs categories kind of following the program. So it's been quite a few years since we've seen that at the Challenge. So allows for regional and club racers to be part of it. Allows for, even drivers doing double duty. We saw some shifter drivers jumping into the Briggs category.
Anthony Freese, I loved it.
It was definitely when, you're going to get that when you get Briggs 206 racing. You're going to see some side-by-side, bumper-to-bumper action all weekend, and that's exactly what we got. So it did line the fences. People were watching, no different than they would with 100cc senior or 100cc junior. So brought the excitement, that's for sure. It was of course you're going to get a category that's decided off the racetrack, and unfortunately that's what that was.
It happened. There was some contact in the last lap. It changed it later. We'll get into that in a second, folks. Let's go to our first commercial break. We're getting underway here with episode 151 of the EKN Debrief, wrapping up our EKN Trackside Live coverage from the final rounds of the Challenge of the Americas. When we get back, we'll dive in to the Paddock Pass. History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Welcome to AIM Sports and the groundbreaking Micron 6 karting data logger. Since its inception, AIM Sports has been at the forefront of motorsport technology, revolutionizing how racers gather data. From its early days, AIM has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and we're excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and a host of wired and wireless expansions. With 2 CAN buses, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. With its advanced suite of sensors, high-speed data acquisition, and easy-to-use interface, the Micron 6 delivers unparalleled performance on track. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this powerful tool helps you analyze every turn, every lap, even every heartbeat. Imagine a tool that not only records your lap times, but also analyzes parameters like speed, tire temperature, driver inputs, and engine performance. With the Micron 6, you'll gain insights that can shave seconds off your times and elevate your skills behind the wheel. Don't just drive, be data-driven. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron.
Back at it here on the EKN Radio Network, episode 151 of the Debrief, as we wrap up our coverage from the final rounds of this year's Challenge of the Americas. We'll dive into the Paddock Pass right now, presented by Odenthal Racing Products. Motor mounts are critical to producing 100% of the power your engine has to get you on the podium each and every time. Odenthal Racing Products provide the best in the karting market today. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience, providing products with unmatched quality and value for the karting market. Check out their Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines and their 4-cycle Easy Set for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Head to odenthalracing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, made in the USA. All right, David, you rolled this out in the Paddock Insider. Give us some insight on what happened away from the wheel-to-wheel competition.
Yeah, Challenge of the Americas finale gets elevated. It's the first time Challenge of the Americas went to the Burt Brothers Motor Park, and the state of Utah, where we were at is roughly about 4,400 feet above sea level. So not quite the mile high that you get in Denver, Colorado, but certainly up there in terms of elevation compared to a lot of the other racetracks and facilities we go to throughout North America. So it was definitely a unique weekend to be part of, with a challenge going there for the first time, and also hosting a fourth weekend in its 18-year history. So a lot of different unique aspects to close out the 2025 season.
It's always interesting to see where teams come from, David, to race, right? Guys like the Nelton team coming from the Pacific Northwest, Southern California, Northern California, Arizona, whatever it may be. Scuderia Littell was with the program all year, right? Bringing Evan Concepcion, Ayrton Littell coming out to run, down to K1, to Tucson, to Sonoma. Finally, they get their home race, not having to travel anywhere. They're one of the teams that actually bases out of the garages at Burt Brothers Motor Park. So Scuderia Littell, Aaron Littell and the crew finally get an event on their home turf.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They've been there since 2019, and they were actually set up in the garages to the western part of the facility, which is a pretty long trek to the kart paddock area and to get to the hot pit lane. So in 2022, they actually were able to move over to the garages near the karting paddock, so a lot closer in proximity to the racetrack itself. And with them being a GFC dealer, they hosted GFC Karting and Formula Works and other GFC drivers on the weekend in their shop, garage, and race team area. Decked out with a complete lounge there to welcome everybody. They do kart schools throughout the year as well too. So again, it's a great program to help build and compete with if you're in the Utah Salt Lake City area. And the unique part about Littell racing this weekend, Ayrton Littell, he tried to attempt for a trio of categories, racing in Shifter Senior, the KA 100 Senior, and the Briggs 206 Shootout. Unfortunately, his engine expired Saturday morning, so he wasn't able to compete in the shifter category. So he just ended up doing double duty on the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. He was out there wheeling it, that's for sure. Again, on home turf, as I had said before, they do a lot of good stuff for the Utah karting program out at Burt Brothers. So always good to have a team, a shop on site to be able to take care of anybody who wants to get into the sport. So shout out to them. Last but not least, David, in this edition of the Paddock Pass, you talked about it already, the Briggs 206 shootout for the challenge, $1,500 up for grabs. They ended up paying out $750 to win. Just like we said in the kind of preview there, just cool to see the 206 guys come out, drawing guys up from Idaho, California. A lot of local drivers were part of it as well.
Yeah, a lot of states. Minnesota was one of them. Idaho, Washington. I forgot to pull up that stat there, but I want to say there was at least 6 different states represented in the 18 categories that or 18 drivers that were competing in the Briggs 206 shootout. It was $750 to win, $500 for second, and it ended up being $300 because Andy didn't have a 50 to go
to break the chain.
So he didn't break the change, so he just did $300 for third place. They also received, all 3 drivers on the podium received $100 towards Briggs racing gear, so they're able to go online and grab some new swag from Briggs and Stratton Motor, or Briggs Racing. Sorry, I want to get that terminology correct. So Briggs Racing. Yeah, and again, like we said, it was good to have something different from the other 3 weekends to enjoy watching, and definitely, as we talked about already, lots of excitement in the category.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, another break. We get back. Time to dive into the race report. We'll talk 100cc Senior and 100cc Junior, 2 primary categories, in the next segment. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the season include the Ignite Majors that begin with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week, running in both the sprint and road racing events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, featuring 5 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in states all across the country, Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite Kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. For over 90 years, DID has been the leading manufacturer for high-quality on- and off-road chain use. DID has been chosen by the top powersport athletes from all over the world and is continuing to grow every day. From the karting track or your off-road adventures to your long street bike trips, DID has a chain to fit your needs. Their kart chain lineup offers variations of chains from high-performance sealed chains to the industry-leading non-sealed 219 HTZ chain. The DID SDH pin treatment is the unique design that allows for a lighter chain for less rotational mass, while still keeping a high tensile strength for peak performance. If you're in the need for a high-quality chain, DID has a chain for all makes and models. With our cutting-edge chain lineup, take your ride to the next level with DID. Visit didchain.com to find a dealer near you. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief, episode number 151, as we wrap up this year's Challenge of the Americas. The final rounds, round 7 and 8, held at Burt Brothers Motor Park in Grantsville, Utah. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole. Let's dive into the race report presented in this show by OTK USA. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the United States, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, and EOS chassis, and now the new Gallard, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, visit www.otkusa.com. All right, David, let's dive into 100cc Senior presented by Forward Direction Motorsports. Here's the headline. We'll let David start filling in the information. Hand and Kaminsky lead GFC domination.
Yeah, certainly these two drivers that were the head of the class all weekend long. It ended up being Chase Hand on Saturday that ended up sweeping after penalties on Saturday with Hand taking fast time qualifying a 101.975 and going on to win the pre-final race. He and Keegan Kaminsky were able to get away from the field at the start of the main event and pull away. Eventually, it was a good little battle between those two drivers in the end. Unfortunately, well, let's wrap up the race first. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. On the final lap, it was Kaminsky and Hand kind of going back and forth, and they came out of turn 12. Kaminsky went with the over-under as Chase Hand went deep into the left-hander there, into the double lefts there. So Kaminsky was able to pull off the over-under and was able to reach the checkered flag first, unfortunately for Kaminsky, and something I think we all saw it because we're right there at the start-finish line. He was ahead of Hand at the drop of the green flag, so he was handed a 3-second penalty for a jump start. So the victory was handed over to Chase Hand. And fortunately for Kaminsky, they were well ahead of the battle for third. So he only slotted back into the second spot, essentially wrapping up the championship with another podium finish for him.
Yeah, it was. Let's talk about the battle first because it was solid. Kaminsky kind of defended in turn 12 enough to get to the outside, and he came across and defended a little bit to the inside of 13, enough, but not quite enough. and Chase Hand, there was just enough room to get through there, and he threw it in deep. Of course, you're on the inside, the dirty part of the track. He pushes wide. Then the over-under comes in. I love the fact that Chase went for it, even though there wasn't much room, but he was blown by that apex. There's no way he was going to woe it up to get the pass done. And again, like you said, David, Kaminsky, perfect over-under, just took his time, was patient, and then beat him over to turn 14 and 15. It was a cool finish because Chase was going for it 100%.
Yeah, he went for it. That's what you have to do on the final lap. And again, you're racing a teammate, so you don't want to be too drastic or too aggressive to where you're taking yourself and your teammate out of the race. So it was a good attempt. Like you said, he just couldn't keep the cart locked down enough to where he just pushed wide and allowed Kaminsky to pull the over under. And behind them, it was a great battle for third with Jonathan Ports ending up picking up the third spot on the podium, beating out the Pantano drivers of Archer Eversman and Dylan Archer. in what was a good battle all race long.
Yeah, David, you're right. They went back and forth like crazy. The the Pontano guys, the forward direction guys, would be up front. Ports would go back to P5. He'd get one. He'd get back to the front. They just kept going back and forth. So it was a really, really good fight for the final spot on the podium. But as you said, David, Kaminsky was kind of the guy at the end. Obviously, got the lead. He and Hand pulled away nicely. It was just a textbook run with both those drivers' teammates getting away, and then we'll battle it on the last lap. And that's how it played out. Kaminsky, though, David, picked up where he left off on Saturday night with the on-track victory. Came out, qualified on pole, won the pre-final as well on Sunday.
Yeah, and again, they were hounded a little bit early by a group of drivers, but they locked up both Kaminsky and Hand and were able to pull away once again. And then they decided to do a carbon copy somewhat of Saturday with them dicing it out in the final few laps. This time, Kaminsky ran the defensive line into turn 13 there, and he was able to hold it. Again, you might have seen the vantage point a little bit better because it was probably a better line than what Hand had on Saturday. Would you agree? Because I couldn't see from the track side.
I think it was more that Chase wasn't there as close. He wasn't quite there. He was trying a lot of every corner where Kaminsky would run kind of a half line, a little bit of defense. Chase would go wide trying to get the better run out of every corner. Did the same thing in turn number 12. Kaminsky defended to the inside. Hand had a big run. Kaminsky got out clean. Same thing. No room for Hand to go on the inside of 13 this time, so he tried to do the big run. The biggest look he had was after they got through 14, which is the other left-hander. It's right, left, right. That's 17, the next right before you come into the sweeper. Chase took a big look down the inside and actually lunged a little bit. I think he was hoping that Kaminsky might flinch. He didn't. Chase had to climb the curb a bit, and at that point it was over, right? Didn't have the run coming out for a potential drag race to the line. Kaminsky was able to win by 4/10 at that point.
Yeah. Again, I kind of like that half line because that definitely held up Hand on the attempt of the over under, like what Kaminsky did on Saturday. So, great duel between those two drivers all weekend long. The third place ended up going to Grayson Schobert on the Nelson Race Concepts Gallard, winning over Tevin Robbins and Camden Rumanis.
There you go.
In the fifth spot, running away from what was another big pack behind him, battling for position. We saw Ports end up with a flat tire at the start of the pre-final, so he had to try to work his way up through the field, and I don't think he was able to do that in the main event with contact early on.
Go look at the results, because that was here's the guys I was following, David. I was following him. I was following Flavio.
Oh, he did get up to 8th, yeah.
Yeah, well, there was an issue at the very end. Flavio Aquini had driven from like 25th, I think, or something like that. Port started 29th, so he was up plus 21. But Aquini got into 8th, and then he got together. I can't remember who he got together with off the top of my head right now. He was in the top 10, and then they had an incident on the last lap, so put them back. That allowed Ports, who was I think a 10th at that point, to move up to P8. It was a great run for Ports for sure, coming from deep in the field. But you're right, there was a bunch of racers there kind of going for the last position on the podium. Grayson Schobert, nicely done to get himself out in front of Robbins and Romanis. It was really good racing behind the top two.
Yeah, lots of action, that is for sure in this category. Something you'll see when you get the big fields that we typically do.
So let's talk about one thing before we move on to 100cc, because we can talk about the driver at 100cc Junior on Saturday, but we don't talk about him on Sunday. And that's the champion, Eric Doan. He ends up finishing second. We'll talk about this on Saturday, finishes second in junior. Elected to move up into the senior category, David. And so here he is making his debut. Third in the pre-final. We're like, this is going to be good. This is going to be a fantastic look at him, battling with the senior drivers. He was, right in the pre-final, was right there with Hand and Kaminsky. He was looking really good. And then something happened on the out lap, on the reconnaissance lap. He never even took the green flag in the main event on Sunday.
Yeah, it looked like to be electrical. The engine just would not run. It got him all the way around the racetrack, but very at a slow pace. So it had to be either something in the electronics, or maybe possibly, or I don't think a read would have done that, but I wasn't able to confirm that. Completely forgot to do that at the end of the day on Sunday. So, but yeah, a tough break for him in his kind of senior debut. I believe he does some other senior racing locally, but yeah, tough way to end the weekend, but he does leave as a champion, as we'll talk about in 100cc junior.
Let's dive right into that. 100cc junior presented by Nash Motorsports.
First, I forgot to write it in the script. Championship points.
Let's dive into championship points. Good call. I like it.
100cc senior.
We should
make
do
sure
that.
you look at. Make sure you look.
The end of the season.
Make sure you look at my other note that I just wrote to you in the private chat as well.
Here we
go. Keegan Kaminsky, did end up. I can't talk today. Long day yesterday. Clinching the championship on Saturday for 100cc senior. Too many C's and all the writing and words that we're talking about. So ended up winning by 137 points over Chase Hand, who did not race in the opening event. So even though he only got 6 of the 7 rounds towards the championship, he ended up finishing second in the standings. Obviously, a couple wins on the season certainly helped that, and some other podium finishes as well. And Johnny Stamps, who just had a terrible weekend in Utah, a DNF on Sunday, just did not was not able to avoid any of the carnage that did happen around him. He ends up dropping from second and finishing the season in the 3rd spot for the championship.
So there you have it, folks. We will wrap up the championships standings after each category. All right. Now we'll go on to 100cc junior presented by Nash Motorsports. Here is the headline. Anderson and Popescu claim career firsts.
Yeah, Saturday was a pretty historic day in terms of challenge history, as Peyton Anderson was able to secure a sweep in the 100cc junior category. The Utah driver was able to set fast time in qualifying with a 101.972, and she held off her Nash Motorsports teammate Eric Doan, the championship contender, in the pre-final for the win ahead of Braden Wagner. Go into the main event, and it was a wire-to-wire performance by Anderson as she just put down the speed early and was able to pull away from the duo of Doan and Wagner. A great performance by Peyton to be able to secure her first challenge victory and the first female to win, I believe we said, since 2022 when Macy Williams was able to win the shifter category.
And we said perfect. Add in fast lap of the race as well. Absolutely perfect. Qualified on pole, won the pre-final and the final with fastest lap. She ended up winning by 6.1 seconds, pulling away. It was a super impressive drive for Peyton Anderson.
Yeah, so she won on the Ellen Racing Kart, with Doan winning the battle for second on the EOS ahead of Braden Wagner in 3rd on the GFC. Luca Popescu on the GFC in 4th, and Sergey Karamseli, did I say that correctly?
I think so.
Selly on the red speed for Apex, finishing in the 5th spot.
As we know, David, when we get into the shifter in the next section, I am obviously no expert on names pronunciation. I think I know, but maybe I don't know. We'll get to that.
You have better guesses than I do.
That's probably true. Yeah. So indeed, there was some great racing, but with Doan, Wagner, Popescu, fantastic. Karamseli was fast all weekend long as well. Speaking of Popescu, out of the gate on Sunday for round number 8 of the challenge, Popescu was the fastest driver, David, in qualifying with a 102.048. One of the things we didn't really mention about the qualifying sessions either, folks, we'll kind of bring it in here. The track is pretty abrasive. We know the temperatures, even qualifying in the morning, it was in the 80s. When we got qualifying at 9:30 to 11 o'clock kind of thing, it was hot. Everybody's turning their fast laps anywhere between lap 3 and 4. Now, your first lap around the track, leaving the pit, is nothing because you come across the line for lap number 1, and essentially you're just on the clock for the first time. So really, it was the first flying lap, second or third flying lap. David, everybody putting their fast laps in early. Lots of guys doing the full session, all 8 minutes, but nobody really. A couple of guys maybe went later. Everybody was like lap 2, 3, or 4. So Popescu, I believe, late in the run for him, lap 2, able to go to P1 with a 102.048, about a tenth off the pace of Anderson on Saturday. But Popescu was right there, ending up winning the pre-final as well.
Well, and that could be the draft, because at Burt Brothers Motor Park, draft is essential going down the long straightaway. Timing your lap right. I notice a lot of people, I'm not quite sure I understand this, would pull over on the front stretch. Well, that ruins 2 laps if you're slowing down on the front stretch.
Yeah.
That type of
agreed.
Like, all these driver coaches we have working in this sport, and that's the most simple one is don't pull over at the start finish line. Pull over on the back section of the racetrack somewhere else.
I know. We saw people trying to gap themselves or trying to pick up somebody else, and they're coming out of turn 19, and all of a sudden slowing. I went, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, no, it makes no sense.
No,
it made no sense. Anyway, Popescu was able to work it the best on Sunday, as you said, with a 102.048. He was able to beat out Braden Wagner and Peyton Anderson for the top spot in the pre-final, so continued on the pole position for the main event. And he and Anderson were able to get away from the rest of the field. It was about 3 drivers fighting for third, while Popescu and Anderson were out front. And Anderson looked like she was buying her time, waiting for that right optimal point to make her move. Probably caught him wrong at a couple of spots where I think she was going to make the move, but didn't. So played it smart, didn't force anything. But in the final laps, Popescu was able to hold her off and put down some good solid laps and keep her at bay, as Anderson wasn't able to make a move. And Popescu was able to reach the checkered flag first, winning by just over a tenth to secure his first series victory.
And there was a lot of action behind those 2 drivers as well, between Braden Wagner, Wes Witt, Sergei Karamsely were all in the middle of the fight there. Wes Witt actually, David, among the chaos, was able to get himself to P3 on the racetrack, 3rd driver to cross the line, but it didn't play out that way after some contact.
Yeah, I think it was a great over-under that he went from 5th to 3rd on the final lap to get ahead of Wagner and Karamsely.
Yeah, those two had contact. Wagner and Karamsely had just a little bit of contact.
Just enough to slow them down. Yeah, just enough to slow them down. Witt took advantage, was able to get through. Crossing the line in the 3rd spot, unfortunately, he was dropped back to the 5th spot for contact. So that moved Wagner up into the 3rd spot and Karamsely into 4th, moving Witt back to 5th.
Let's have a look at the championship standings, all said and done for this year's challenge in the 100cc junior category, David. We talked about it already. Eric Doan, far enough up a front, locked it down on Saturday, didn't even have to run Sunday as the champion in the category.
Yeah, winning by 50 points after all the action was done and completed. Obviously, the victory on Sunday helped close the gap a little bit as Luca Popescu moved up into the 2nd spot on the standings, finishing 50 points out of the 1st spot, with Sergei Karamsely in the 3rd position, 85 points back. So a good wrap up of the season for Sergei to end up on the championship podium.
Yeah, a couple top 5s, right? Fifth on Saturday, 4th on Sunday. Karamsely doing a tremendous job. There you go, folks. 2 categories in. When we get back after this quick break, the race report brought to you by OTK USA will continue. We'll do Shifter Senior and Shifter Masters after this break. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiCart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer SodiCart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about Sodi kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. The Parolin Le Mans full-size chassis for junior and senior classes and the Parolin Opportunity model for cadet divisions have earned success weekend after weekend at all the major championships and events in both the USA and throughout Europe. The Parolin chassis lineup also includes the Invader Shifter along with the Daytona 4-cycle chassis and the Delfino Kid Kart. Karters can head to the ParalinUSA.com website where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available all across North America. Paralin USA partners with several companies and race teams across the country to provide a strong dealer network to represent the brand locally and at the national level to support drivers throughout North America. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Paralin. Back at it here with episode number 151 of the EKN Debrief, wrapping up the final rounds of this year's Challenge of the Americas at Burt Brothers Motor Park in Grantsville, Utah. Race report presented by OTK USA continuing. We'll dive into the shifter senior category presented by Swede Tech Racing Engines. And here's where it all goes awry for me. And I'm going to start this off. David's already laughing. So, again, there's been drivers. They sometimes have names that looks like they're French-based. Nolan Gagnon. No, it is. It was not Nolan. It's Nolan Gagnon. So I will preface it with that. Got the name wrong. I think I've got the name wrong for 2 years. And this is what irks me. If I've said your name wrong for 2 years, please come and tell me. Before that, I had a couple corrections on the weekend that we were able to dial in, which was great. But here you go. Here's the headline, David.
Hold on.
I was going to do that and let you.
No.
All right.
I want to continue with the name stuff here. Hold on. Because you're saying my name wrong as well.
Oh, I should. That's right. Davide Collet. That's it. Davide Collet.
Write that down.
A little Italian French for you there, David.
There you go.
Davide Collet. Here you go. Here's the headline. Gagnon doubles up for career first wins.
Yeah, he was super fast all weekend long at his home racetrack, and it was great to see a smile on his face after every session. He was the quickest every session, but it wasn't a complete sweep on the weekend. He did set fast time in qualifying at 57.367. And in the pre-final, I think it was a gentleman's agreement where they all said they were just going to make a couple laps and pull off.
Yeah.
Concepcion was the first. I don't think he was even on the grid with Gagnon and Freeze going out. And Nolan was the first off the racetrack. So Freeze ended up being the actual winner of the pre-final as he did one extra lap ahead of Nolan. So Freeze started from the pole position, Gagnon on the outside, but it was all Nolan Gagnon winning wire to wire with the whole shot victory, going off to a 4.8 second margin of victory to win over Anthony Freeze with Concepcion in the third spot.
Yeah, Gagnon, Freeze, Concepcion, same order the next day. Gagnon went not almost exactly the same pace, right? 57.367 on Saturday, 57.389. We're talking about 2,100 or 22 thousandths of a second difference in qualifying day on day. It essentially was a carbon copy. David Gagnon was able to win the pre-final as well. Freeze has an issue and actually pulled in early. Concepcion ended second, but the way they finished on Saturday was the way they finished on Sunday.
Yeah, this time it was just a little bit quicker, 4.6 margin of victory for Gagnon in the 18-lap main event over Freeze. Concepcion in third spot. It was, so it was a near weekend sweep for the Utah driver on the Attell kart.
And we didn't have the champion with us on the weekend. Michael Avancino winning the first 6 races in a row, didn't make the trek to Utah. Let's fill in the rest of the top 3, David, in the championship.
Yeah, Anthony Freeze ended up finishing second to Avancino, 68 points out of the top spot, with Concepcion in the third position, 122 back. Nolan Gagnon actually finishing fourth with his 2 wins. Wasn't in Sonoma, so that hurt him. Had he been in Sonoma, he might have been able to finish in the third spot with those 2 victories here this weekend.
It's going to be a quick one through the shifter kart categories. As we know, folks, not a great shifter turnout on the weekend. Shifter Masters presented by Nelliton Racing Concepts. The only 2 drivers in the field. Here's the headline. Faker claims first wins in weekend sweep.
Yeah, I did have that wrong, didn't I? Sorry.
No, I got
it. Michael Faker just kept putting work in. He trying to get quicker and quicker, working with Gary Carlton of GFC and, of course, Tim Lobaugh, his mechanic, all weekend long. It seemed like it was either lap 16 or lap 15 where he put down his quickest lap of the main event. So, yeah, Faker did a 59.347 in qualifying on Saturday, winning the pre-final and final uncontested with Chris Mickey in the second spot. Got quicker in qualifying on Sunday, a 59.012, so gained just over 0.3 of a second to get quicker on Sunday, and it was a clean sweep on Sunday to score a second victory on the weekend.
And let me add this: 18 laps the duration, right, for the main events. So that's so Michael, with these guys coming off, nobody turned more laps in a shifter on the weekend than Michael Faker, because Chris Mickey went out on the opening lap of the main event. Michael ran the whole thing by himself, all 18 laps. He did not. We talked about the fact that the senior drivers all pulled off in the pre-main. Michael every lap all weekend long. It was 93 degrees when they ran their main event on Sunday afternoon. Faker went all 18 laps, and his fastest lap was lap 18. His fastest lap of the main event was on the final lap, having run 18 laps at 93 degrees. This guy's number one, in great shape. And I love what he said in the interview, David, and I will just add a little bit here. He said that he's been racing for 18 years, but he has learned more in the last couple of years, 2 years running with Gary Carlton and the team, than he learned in the first 17 years. So just a great little note there about GFC, working with Gary's team. And Michael, like you said, just committing himself to it, getting faster and faster, and just a really impressive run all season long.
Yeah, only 1.2 seconds off Nolan Gagnon's time in the main event. So you factor in almost 20 turns, just a little bit, just a little bit more than half a tenth per corner. That's not to mention the weight, weighing a lot more than the senior drivers. That's putting in the work and getting quicker and quicker. What track did he say it was Sonoma that beat him up, but he was frustrated he wasn't fast because he felt like physically he could be fast. Yeah,
indeed. And listen, here's the one thing as well. Obviously, we know that Joe Rook won a bunch of races early on. The Sonoma weekend was split with who won? Michael Gouache won there, and Patrick O'Neill won there. Running all the races consistently and a lot of podiums, Michael Faker ends up coming away with the championship as well. And with that, David, and we didn't talk about it in the other championships, wins a full season pass for 2026 as well.
Yes, so he'll be able to come back and race all season long. Ended up winning the championship by 39 points ahead of Joe Rook. Michael Gouache finishing in the third position, 154 points out of the top spot. So, yeah, a full season for all the champions in 2026. So they'll be able to race all season long. Sounds like you got somebody making a delivery.
Yeah, I don't know what that is right now. I love it. All right, off to a quick break, folks. When we get back, we're going to wrap things up for the race report presented by OTK USA. 100cc Masters, 60cc Cadet. We'll go to a break while I get my delivery of whatever it is. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win.
I'm Ken Unger, president of Charge and a sponsorship strategist who's helped drivers and teams unlock sponsorship success for over 2 decades, from IndyCar and NASCAR to grassroots karting. In karting, horsepower is great, but sponsorship power? That's how you really move up the grid. Whether you're a parent fueling your driver's dreams or an 18-year-old ready to take the next step in your career, my sponsorship success method is your secret weapon. I'll show you how to build your brand, pitch like a pro, and turn, maybe next year, into Let's Sign Today. Ready to land your first sponsor? Visit sponsorshipsuccessmethod.com and start your journey to sponsorship success today. That's sponsorshipsuccessmethod.com.
Welcome back to Rob Howden's distribution outlet as the deliveries keep coming here at EKN headquarters. Episode number 151 of the EKN Debrief. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Back into the race report presented by OTK USA. We'll cap things off for this edition of the race report, part of the Debrief here with 100cc Masters and 60cc Cadet. The Masters category presented on the challenge by Ruthless Karting. And here's the headline: Falcone and Mann split wins.
Yeah, Saturday was all Scott Falcone, the former series champion and championship leader, heading into the weekend. A 103.450 put him at the top of the time charts in qualifying. Falcone led every lap of the pre-final and the final, with Chris Mann right there, kind of putting the pressure on, but eventually towards the end of the main event would fall off. Falcone ended up winning by 2.7 seconds at the checkered flag to gain another victory on the Pantano. Christopher Mann finishing second on the Xpree, and Bruce Norman finishing in the third spot on the GFC.
3 drivers on Saturday. We added one on Sunday. Chad Wallace, who was back up in Oregon, up home at his son's graduation, made the trek back down Saturday night to be able to be part of the racing action. And he factored right into it, David. Falcone was the fastest driver out of the gate again at 103.714. In the pre-final, Falcone kind of was able to stretch away. Wallace was battling it out with Christopher Mann a little bit. That was the kind of back and forth deal. We thought maybe Mann would be able to try to stay with him. Wallace was able to get in front and hold the spot all the way through. Ended up second, and I think kind of it started. If I remember, it started at the very beginning. Wallace qualified third, and he pushed Falcone at the start by Mann, who was on the outside of the front row. So Wallace kind of took the spot there. Mann was just never able to get back by in that pre-final.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of argued about during the race. I think Mann was fine finishing third, because it put him on the inside and behind Falcone, to where Wallace would have to start on the outside of the front row. So very similar to what we saw. And unfortunately, Wallace had other ideas, because he went on the offensive right away in the main event, and took over that second spot away from Mann, and nearly went after Falcone early on. But eventually Mann went back up into the second spot, and then by lap 4 pulled the trigger, and finally, with your yelling and encouragement, got by into turn 1 for the pass for the lead. And that was it. Falcone just didn't quite have the pace he had yesterday. Mann said he got a little bit better than what he was on Saturday. That equated to a 8-second margin of victory for Christopher Mann, picking up his first challenge victory.
Yeah, a really great turnaround. Saturday was kind of characterized by the fact that Falcone was overall faster. I felt like, using the draft, Mann was probably quicker all the way around the racetrack. Coming through into turn 17, he was right on the rear bumper, ready to set up the run down into 1. But every time they came out of the final couple of corners, Falcone would have like another 4 or 5 cart lengths. Mann just couldn't get through those corners. And through the first half of the race, Christopher was still there on Scott, but it was the second half where he fell off by 2 or 3 tenths of a second. Falcone was within a tenth or two of his fast lap of the race, all 18 laps on Saturday. On Sunday, though, Mann sat down with Ryan Ruth at Ruthless Karting. They looked at, hey, what are we going to do here? And they went kind of back more to, I think, a baseline setup. And, of course, it worked for him. Mann was super fast. On top of him, looked inside a couple of times, but didn't pull the trigger. Finally, when he got in there, looked inside in turn 1. David, once he got to P1, a couple of maybe little defensive lines here and there, quickly pulled away. And like you said, 8.1 seconds. He couldn't run with Falcone on Saturday, just absolutely walked him on Sunday.
Yeah, just a change will do that sometimes. And Falcone, I think, went the opposite way. They didn't get better, they got worse, and that's the result we got.
Yeah, and again, so Mann with the win by over 8 seconds. Falcone second, Chad Wallace third, and shout out to Bruce Norman, who I think one of his fastest laps at the very end of the run was within about a second and a bit. Like, he found a ton of pace. I think he actually was even faster than Wallace over those last couple of laps. So shout out to Bruce Norman again, a driver who keeps digging and working his way forward as well.
Falcone.
Let's talk championship. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so Falcone was able to clinch the championship on Saturday, but ended up winning the title by 137 points as Christopher Mann, who missed the opening event in Tucson, moved up into the second spot, and Chad Wallace ended up finishing in third, 243 points out of the lead.
Let's move to 60cc Cadet, presented by the Karting Collective. This was some of the best racing of the weekend, which inevitably is. The Cadet category was fantastic, usually having 4 or 5 drivers in the lead group. It was just fun to watch. Here is the headline for 60cc Cadet. Martinez claims 4th towards title as Tarango in season with win.
Yeah, great racing all season long in this category. Probably some of the best we saw in all the categories. Again, clean racing, no penalties, deciding victories. I don't recall on the season, so a lot of them, all of them, if I recall correctly, were decided on the racetrack. So with that, it was Luis Martinez, the championship leader, setting fast time on qualifying for Saturday with a 1:07.049, but it was
Koa
Saito, yes, Koa Saito. Sorry, I forgot his first name, but I remembered how to say his last name.
We got a correction on that. We dialed that in halfway through. We were wrong on Saturday. I got it dialed in. We had it correct on Sunday for Koa. Yeah,
Koa Saito. He was quick all weekend long. Was able to come away with the race win in the pre-final ahead of Martinez and Tarango, and it ended up being Saito and Tarango battling early for the lead. Until Martinez got into the top spot by lap 4. And from there, I didn't write the main event results. I'm just having a terrible day, Rob.
It's all good.
But Martinez led from lap 4 to the main event, scoring the victory by just over 3 seconds with a really good run to essentially nearly clinch. Wasn't a full clinch. It was some things had to be done on Sunday, but Martinez picked up his 4th victory of the season, winning by just over 3 seconds.
You got the rest of the top 5 in front of you there? Or
Lucas Tarango finishing in 2nd with the fast lap of the race. I do have that in front of me.
Good man.
Koa Saito in the 3rd spot, so they wrapped up the podium. Again, it was a great little battle for 2nd there between Tarango and Saito. Nathan Ramirez in 4th, and Hudson Hidalgo, another Paralympic driver, finishing 5th on Saturday.
Yeah, one of the fastest drivers on the entire weekend was Koa Saito, 100%. He was unbelievably fast. Qualified on the pole position on Sunday with a 1:07.661. Pre-final was able to come away with the victory there as well. It was a really good battle up front in the pre-final as well. Saito was able to get his way back to the front after swapping the spot. Started with the pole position, but the way the thing shook down at the end, it was a really, really good 3-driver battle all race long, David.
Yeah, lots of different lead changes throughout the how many laps did they start?
They did 15.
15. See, why? I don't know why I was thinking it was 14.
14
anyway,
was the Briggs race.
Oh, there you go. See, they mess up with me. Saito and Tarango were basically the ones exchanging the lead. Martinez got in there a little bit later towards the end of the race, but again, it ended up being Saito leading at the white flag. Martinez 2nd. So they were kind of going at it through turn 12 and then going into turn 13. And Tarango pulled that great over-under move, going from 3rd to 1st as they kind of both pushed wide during the double lefts there. So Tarango came out with the lead through those corners. But again, you get through that back session, as you said, if you get it right, you can get on the straightaway and get a lot of speed. Well, especially with the cadets. And I think Saito was trying to set him up, didn't quite get the move he wanted to, but still pulled alongside. And then you had Martinez making it a 3-wide drag race to the line. It ended up being Tarango picking up the victory by 94 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, Martinez finished in 2nd, Saito in 3rd, Hudson Hidalgo 4th, and Wyatt Kroger, who was in the middle of a top 5 fight for a majority of the weekend, anywhere from 5th, 6th, 7th for Wyatt, end up finishing in the 5th spot. Just great racing all told, man. These guys just went back and forth, and it was a fantastic move for Tarango. 3 wide coming down into turn number 13. He was the driver on the outside, and all you can really do there is check up and pull the over-under and hope that the guys in front have issues. They did. A little bit of contact. In rolls Tarango to come away with the race win. Just a fantastic drive to cap off their racing in 2025.
Yeah, and the championship went to Martinez, as we talked about. Almost had it locked up on Saturday, but needed some points to go his way on Sunday, and ended up clinching it by the time the pre-final wrapped up. So he was able to secure the championship by 54 points over Lucas Tarango, with Hudson Hidalgo finishing in the third spot, 145 points out of the lead.
All right, folks, let's wrap things up here. One more break. When we come back, we'll look at the Constructors' Championship. We'll wrap things up. Oh, what?
You didn't read my note.
I forgot. We got one more. Yeah,
That's
I read the note. I just forgot about the note. We still have to talk about the Briggs 206 shootout. Let's go.
Yeah, the Briggs 206 shootout. So we did see 3 heat races over the weekend. They started out with qualifying. That was led by, I forgot to write that one down.
Grant Hearn.
It was Grant Hearn, because he went backwards once the racing got going, and unfortunately for him, Kingston Deemer ended up winning the opening heat race, while it was Trey Arnzen winning the second and third heat races, but it was Colin Roos, right? Or Royce?
Roos.
I
got corrected on that one too. Okay. I got that one right.
Colin Roos picking up the pole position for the main event. It ended up being him and Trey. We thought they were going to be able to work together and get away, but that didn't work out, as the big train behind them got together with about 8 carts. I want to say, I think it was the top 10, if not the top 12, got together and worked their way back up to the top 2 drivers. So kind of like that Talladega thing, where you get 2 drivers out front.
That's it.
The rest of the field comes and grabs them. And when they did, that's when the shuffling began. Unfortunately for Trey, he was caught up, got driven over by Cooper Cat. So that dropped them out of the lead group, and unfortunately took them out of competition for the race win. Ended up being Jack Groot and Roos that were kind of battling and leading the pack now at the front. They exchanged the lead multiple times, and as they made their way to the checkered flag, it was Colin Roos that was able to take the checkered flag first for the provisional victory, ahead of Jack Groot. Grody, sorry, that's right. You said it, yeah. Unfortunately for Roos, it was a position contact, 2 positions to drop him from the top spot of the podium back to third. That moved Jack Grody up to the top step of the podium to take the Briggs 206 shootout victory, with Kingston Deemer finishing in the second spot. As we said, Roos in the third, Steele Larson in the fourth, and then Ayrton Littell finishing in the 5th spot with fast lap of the race.
Yeah, that was good racing in the Briggs 206 shootout. Fun to have that contrast. We had the shifters, of course. You got the 100 cc's, and you had the Briggs as well. So exciting to see all those drivers get at it on the weekend. Now we can go here to the final break. Just some issues with the script on this one here. We'll put that all on David Cole.
It was the heat. Dude,
I understand. I was battling high 70s in the tower with that with that fan on me. It was a struggle. It was a struggle, David. But I got through it. I'm a professional.
Yeah, I'm sure the sushi helped on Sunday.
Oh, that was so good. The sushi was great. All right, we're wrapping things up, folks. After this break, we'll go Constructors' Championship. We'll wrap it up, and of course, as always, we'll look at the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar. A new era is here for TB Kart USA. The face of TB Kart USA has changed heading into 2025, with the ownership group behind the Amarillo Kart Circuit becoming the new U.S. importer and distributor of the TB Kart brand. Located at the Amarillo Kart Complex in Panhandle, Texas, owner Kyle Yachinsky is motivated to expand the TB Kart brand from coast to coast. As the brand's dealer network extends, TB Kart USA formed a partnership with Norway Motorsports Park to become the exclusive distribution partner for the North Central United States. TB Kart USA is working with current dealers around the U.S., striving to add more dealers and partners to help support TB Kart drivers at the local and regional programs. TB Kart is among the more innovative chassis manufacturers, growing into one of the leading brands in the world over the last decade. The history of the parent company for TB Kart dates back over a century in Urba, Italy, with the Brenna family. Their passion for manufacturing and racing led to the development of their first karts in the mid-1980s. TB Kart USA will continue to work directly with the TB Kart factory on development of each chassis model, ranging from kid kart to shifter kart. This strong relationship has led to new and improved front-end geometry, along with brake system changes to bring the TB Kart brand to the front for this season. The globally recognized TB Kart rental kart product line, featuring 5 different models, is also available through TB Kart USA for tracks to utilize here in the US. To learn more about joining the TB Kart USA distribution network, or to find a dealer near you, contact them via email at amarillokartcomplex@gmail.com or call 210-787-0589. Made in the USA. It's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by 5-time Super National champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at the Phoenix, Arizona facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the American karting market, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. Factory Karts bring together the highest quality materials to produce high-performance, long-lasting karts that have been designed and perfected from years of development. No other karting manufacturer stands behind its product as Factory Karts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Join the Factory Karts official race team this season, hitting the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Pro Kart Challenge, along with the new Southwest Super Series program. Full trackside support for Factory Kart competitors is available, along with Arrive and Drive programs and tent space housed under our new race team hauler that debuted at Super National 27. Remember when American Made meant more innovative, original, stronger, faster, and just plain better? Well, American Made is back. Contact Factory Karts today to join the American Made movement. Learn more by visiting factorykarts.com or email info@factorykarts.com. Time to wrap things up for this edition of the EKN Debrief, number 151, capping off the 2025 Challenge of the Americas held out at Burt Brothers Motor Park in Grantsville, Utah. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole. We'll wrap it up here with the Constructors Championship. David, line it up for us here. 7 brands scoring victories over the 13 total wins on the weekend.
Yeah, GFC with 6 on the weekend, including that Briggs shootout victory by Jack Grote. Italkart picking up 2 with Nolan Gagnon. And then Ellen Racing Kart, Patano, Esprit, Croc Promotion, and Nitro Kart all picking up 1 victory.
What I thought was interesting was GFC across the board in shifter kart competition, in 100cc, and in the Briggs 4-cycle class. Wins in all 3 of the different disciplines. I thought that was good for GFC.
Yeah, shifter master, 100cc senior, 100cc junior, and Briggs 206.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the wrap-up, David. We didn't really talk much about it at the end of Sunday, but it was nice to see when we're all said and done. 0 red flags on the weekend. And that's the promoter's dream, right? Never once is a red flag. No one gets hurt. Everybody through the weekend.
Yeah, I think we saw that every challenge race weekend in 2025. I don't believe we had. No, wow. I take that back. K1 we did. So yes, I'm pretty sure we did. Or was it at the end of the race? So that's what I don't know.
I can't remember. The bottom line was this weekend had no
this
red
weekend
flags.
No red flags. No major incidents. That's the one key.
100%, David. Let's look at your notes here. Let's talk numbers.
Yeah, if you look at over the 4 events, the series averaged 95 entries over the 4 rounds for the 6 categories that they did have racing on the year. So again, you talked about it, the number of drivers. What was the number of drivers you said?
Over 150 when I was kind of adding them up.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you put everybody together 4 weekends in a row, you're going to have great numbers for a championship program. So hopefully that's the goal moving forward. Again, we talked about, challenge setting the dates for 2026. We got February, April, May, and July. Hopefully that's going to work out for the race teams and competitors to be able to make all 4 weekends and make them truly great race weekends.
All right, let's cap off this edition of the Debrief with the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar presented today by Franklin Motorsports. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and they can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. They specialize in IME engines, Tillett seats, and of course, their championship-winning Merlin chassis. They've been supplying racers with start-to-finish support at race events for years, from providing a helping hand on a weekday test outing or at a club event to full arrive and drive packages at the highest level of karting competition. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. All right, DC, you're lined up for the next 3 races. I'm on the road with the USF Pro Championships all the way through the middle of August, and I got a break until I get back at it with the CKNA Grand Nationals in late September at Newcastle Motorsports Park. You've got 2 trips to Newcastle coming up, but before that, you get to head to the America's National Park of Speed, the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex at Road America, June 27 to 29. The USPKS back at it with the Wisconsin Grand Prix.
Yeah, we saw big numbers this past weekend for the Route 66 program. So hopefully that's a precursor to what's going to come in a couple of weeks, or next weekend, I should say, when we get back to the 3rd event of the 2025 season for the United States Pro Kart Series. Again, Briggs & Stratton Motorplex is a racetrack unlike any other in that it's certainly less grip, lots of elevation, very fast, very technical as well too. So, and very historic in terms of being right inside the historic Road America facility.
Yeah, it's cool. There's actually going to be an SEC event or an FRP event, I think, happening that same weekend as well.
Trans Am.
Yeah, Trans Am, Formula 2000, Continental. Yeah, it's going to be cool. After that, another month, you got your off for a bit, David, which is cool. SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Summer Nationals will cap off the Pro Tour for 2025, July 25th to 27th. I'll be at Road America that weekend, so we're going to swap tracks. Newcastle Motorsports Park again for that event, the kind of spiritual home for the Summer Nats, capping off the 2025 Pro Tour.
Yeah, and they've already put down the racetrack configuration that they're going to be doing for this year. It is going to be the same track that they do for the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals. So it'll be the normal direction, the normal counterclockwise direction, but it will also include the shark fin this year. So that's going to be different. I don't think we've ever done the shark fin in the counterclockwise direction. It's always been in the clockwise direction. So that'll be unique. Again, and the map shows the start finish or the finish line at the original finish line. So I can only hope that they do keep it there.
Yeah, it's around the corner of you come down all the big long straightaway into the left-hander. I like that a lot.
The old school finish ways that we used to see back when we first started going to Newcastle. Now they could have been, and they just left that from last year's map because that's where we would hold the finish line in the reverse direction.
Yep.
So we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the case. But uniquely, they will be using the shark fin or what I call the Monza corner. Which will be turn 14 in this layout for the Summer Nationals. So no super mile for those who are happy to hear that.
Yeah, right. 3 weeks later, we'll cap off this edition of the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar, talking about the finale for the USPKS as well, David, the Indiana Grand Prix, back at Newcastle again. You'll be there for that event when all the USPKS drivers get set to see who comes away with the championships.
Yeah, so we'll have the second half of the season for the USPKS coming up on 2 of our next 3 events. Obviously, Wisconsin will be the turning point in terms of championship contenders and those who are going to be there and not be there. And then we'll wrap everything up with, again, the annual trip to Newcastle where the series has been for let's see, how many years has it been? 13 years, I believe. This is the 13th season.
Nice. I go to you on that. You're the
yeah. I'm trying to think. 2013, right? My math is terrible as much as my writing has been all day today. So
I think we've been talking about being the 13th season, indeed.
Maybe it's because Friday was Friday the 13th. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
Nothing happened there bad, so that was good.
Well, I didn't get home last night until 1:30 in the morning. My flight kept getting canceled. So
I meant Friday, but not yesterday.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. All right, folks, there you go. That's the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar presented by Franklin Motorsports. Shout out to the guys at Franklin. And again, that's where Dave is going to be traveling because I'm, of course, not on that particular travel schedule. I've got my USF Pro Championships event coming through to the middle of August. Then, of course, looking down to September to the CKNA Grand Nationals, to the MG Tires 200. Lots of great races. Super Nats coming. Looking forward, of course, to all the events that happen at the end of the season. Otherwise, David, that wraps things up. Any final thoughts before we cap off this edition of the show?
Yeah, challenge complete, done for 2025. A little bit later than we're typically used to, but all in all, it was a great time with the challenge family once again, which continues to keep growing as they bring in some new people to different positions. And again, it's great racing all season long. Again, hopefully we'll get numbers to increase in 2026.
Yeah, it's built some momentum and move forward for the West Coast National Program, which is the Challenge of the Americas. Shout out to Andy Saisman and the whole crew at FTK Promotions for once again having us trackside part of the family out there. We love heading to those events. That wraps things up for this edition of the EKN Debrief. Caps off our trackside live coverage from the Challenge of the Americas for 2025. Episode number 151 is now done and in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye.